Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So we are done with module one. So we are starting Kevin with the module two. So I've uploaded some of the content for module two there. So when you go to the website, you check your account, you will see we have module two. So if you see module two down there, so that is what we. Okay, so this is module two. So in module two, our focus will be on scripting with Python. Okay, so that's where you focus on. So you see some of the things that we'll be doing. One, you try and work on assessing and managing computer resources via the operating system. We will look at handling common file formats such as CSV, XML, working with date and time, and then we also will also focus on automating application and accessing via API. Okay, and we will look at using third-party models to extend automation beyond the standard library capability. That is what Python is having. So we try to look at how we'll be able to use the third-party models to be able to enrich our automation. Okay, so I only have a few of this there. Okay, so by next week, maybe the full module two will be uploaded on the platform. But if you've not paid for module two, what happens is for this week you have access to the module two content. Next week you might not have access to module two content if you not pay for module two. But you will still have access to module one content. So your account, you still have your account, you can log into the platform, you can see module two, and then whatever you want to do, you can do with it. But then you cannot see module two, okay, when you've not paid. Not this week. For this week, you still have access to that. Okay. Now, based on what we'll be doing, I think I told you if you watch yesterday's video, I told you that there are some points that you need to go through on your own down there. So try and go through them and do the work. But there's a work that you need to go through and then do it. So try and do it. And there are some codes there. I want you to try your hands and run them. Okay, so your free time you should go through that and make sure you complete. If you're able to do that, starting module two will be a little bit easy for you. Okay, be easy for you. But of course, we've done with the basics of Python and giving you all other things that you needed to know within Python ecosystem. Now we will be focusing more on the application aspect and how you can use Python in your work and whatever that you want to use Python for. So that is the essence of module two. Okay, so you pay attention to module two. It will be a little bit technical, but I think if you did follow the module one and you did more practice, hands-on practice in all that you did, starting with module two will not be difficult for you. Okay. Now, before we start, I think I did explain to you in module one what a binary is, right? And then I also explained to you the bytes data type. Okay. So I want us to explore more on the bytes. So within that, I explained to you how to convert from maybe a byte to binary. But then I skip other aspects of maybe hexadecimal, octal, and all those things. But now that we are in module two, it's prudent that you need to know all these ones so that it will really inform you of what you can use Python for. So that I think you will not have any limitations when it comes to working with Python. So let's start this quick exercise. Okay. Now, who can remember what I said about um, the binary and then the bytes? Who do you remember? Anything? Do you remember anything concerning bytes or binary? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Do you remember anything concerning bytes and binary?
Um, okay, so what I remember about the binary is that the it has like we have the a table. I've actually forgotten the name of the table, but the table like shows the representation of letters in binary, which some number like every letter has a number that it represents.
Hmm. Okay, okay. That is fine. That is fine. I think that's okay. So we are talking about the ASCII code table. Okay. So let's look at this. Okay. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, please.
Yes,
If I
please.
if I have this UTF maybe hyphen 8. Now when you talk about bytes, what comes in mind? What comes in mind? What comes in mind? One
Sorry,
byte will give you one byte
um,
will give you
8 bits.
8 bits. Okay, so that is the basic understanding that I want us to know. So if I have 1 byte, okay, I'm looking at 8 bits. Okay, so let's keep this basic understanding. Okay, now what we have here is the UTF. UTF simply means Unicode transformation what format. Okay, so as time goes on, you understand what a Unicode is. So these emojis and all those things that we have is based on Unicode. Okay. Now the basic standard that we most platform use like English letters. English letters you see them mostly using this, okay, which is what the Unicode. So Unicode with what 8 bits. Okay, 8 bit. We have 8 bits. We have 16 bits. We have 32 bits and stuff. So depending on Arabic and all those things, English alphabet, they have their own. English is just basic, so English mostly use 8-bit characters. When you move on to Arabic, you will see that some of them will use a different. You have 16, okay, and going to 32 and stuff. Okay, Latin words and all those. And then now, based on that, we're able to get the emojis and all those things. So these are something that as time goes on, you will understand it proper. But for now, let's look at the basics and then how we can use it to do our work. Okay. So we already know that 1 byte will give us what, 8 bits. And then we know that when you see UTF, anytime you see UTF, you can see it in databases and everything. Your format will always be in UTF, simply means Unicode Transformation Format. And we always will see hyphen 8, meaning what? 8 bits. Okay, meaning 8 bits. So now we can change from a byte to what? Other format. Okay, so now that we understand this, another point that I want us to look at is when it comes to a data type. We know we have some that are what, mutable, and some that are not immutable. So if I have a byte, sorry, if I have byte is simply bytes are what, immutable. It means that you cannot what, alter its elements. So we have bytes, and then we also have what we call byte array. So the byte array is where you can immute. So if I have byte array, so byte array, that one become mutable. So you can what, change its elements. So byte array is what, mutable. Okay. Okay, so byte array is immutable, then byte is immutable. Now let's look at, if I have a string. Now you know that a string is not a byte, right? What is the difference between a string and a byte? String, str, and then byte. Yeah, what is the difference? What is the difference? Yeah, what is the difference? Do you have any idea?
Hello.
Oh,
Okay.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a string represents text.
A test. Okay.
Yeah, a string,
And the
and
byte,
a byte is just like it's raw and it's used to represent binary data.
no. So they are all characters. Okay. So now if I want to see that this is this one, if you see this simply means what? This simply means what? A string. Always a string, anything within a quote, either a single or double, is what? A string from our basic understanding. Okay. And then if I'm also talking about a byte, B, then this is a byte. Okay. So now the difference here is that if I have a byte and then you also have let's say a string. Now you know that each individual we can access it with elements, right? Let's do example. So now I have name. So a variable called name, which I'm giving as what? I'm giving as Nana. Okay, so Nana here is a string. Then I have first name. Okay, and then with the first name, I also use the first name as Kwame. Okay, now instead of Kwame here, I have this one in front, which is B. Okay, so it makes this one what? It makes this one a byte. Now, if we want to check the data type, let's say type. Now, if I come here, you could see that I can access name here, and then this one will give me a string, and then I'll do the same thing for first name, which is first. And here you will see that this one is giving me what? A byte. Okay, so now byte come with B in front of a string. Anytime you see B in front of any string, it means that that is a byte format. Okay, and all of them are having what? Character. Now, one aspect that we know about a string is you can access individual elements, okay, by using what? The index. I hope that one is clear. In the same way, we can also access what? Individual elements within a byte by using the index. But what happens is, if I get the index of this and that, you realize that they are not the same, okay? Because a byte here will give me a decimal, okay, an integer. If you get individual element, it will give you an integer. So let's see. If I come here, first name. Now let's put this one. I want to have the first name. So if I have here name, in front of name, I'll place front of name. I'll place the index, which is in the zero, which I know that I'm going to get what? N. Okay. So when I put in the zero here, you could see that this one will give me that what? Character. But this one, the byte, is not going to give me a character, but what? Integer. So that is the difference. So now here you could see that if I come here and I say first, you could see here it gave me what? Integer. Okay, so anytime you want to access individual elements of a byte, come as what? Integer. And I explained to you that every keyboard, that's last time the explanation, I think Nana, you asked the question and I did explain to you how to convert that, and I told you that each character here is assigned by what? An integer. Okay, so when you send it, you do the conversion to a byte, a binary code and stuff. So that understanding is so. Anytime you want to access individual character in bytes, it transforms it to what? And what? An integer. So for instance, if I want to do maybe a slice of your name, let's say let's slice from 0 Kwame. So I want to get from K to A. That would be what? K to that would be what? 1 0 1 2, right? So that would be
Yeah.
3, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now when you slice this, this word will come. Okay, now you can see that when we slide this one, it gave us byte. It means that we are not accessing what individual element. But if you want to get individual character like maybe k or stuff, in that case, it's going to give us what? An integer. But when you slice like this one that you slice, it's going to give us what? That what? String. So this is a byte of for qua. Okay, but if I want to just say k, you know, on your keyboard, k has a number under it, a capital has a number under it. We went through this one. So when you come here, you could see that individual character. So this one is an integer, and this one is ASCII code, as you can see here, and each one represents a number. So C represents a number here, which is this. Okay, so in the same way, K also represents a number, capital, because I saw 975. So that gives us what? Capital, but small k will be different with a different number. You can see small k is giving us what? 10 this, and that is what? Integer. Okay, so that is the basic understanding of this, what we last time we went through. Okay, so I want you to take note of that. Okay, so now the question is, we want to try to maybe convert from a string to, maybe I have a string, I want to convert it to maybe a string to a byte, and maybe a byte to maybe a string. How will I do that? Okay, so I want us to look at all these phases. Then from there, we can go beyond by looking at hexadecimal, octal, how to convert them. Okay, so once you are get the understanding well, then you will be able to know how we can apply them in our next class, what we'll be doing. Okay, so now the basic understanding here is clear. Okay, do you understand it now? Hello.
Yes.
Okay, okay, so now we got the understanding of the string and then the bytes. Okay, so now let's move on further. Okay, so now I made mention of what? Array, and I see that you cannot what? Alter what? The each element of what? A byte. Okay, why is it that we cannot alter each element of a byte? Why? Any idea?
Please, the question again.
Why is it that we cannot alter each element in a byte? Why?
Because they are immutable.
Yeah, we know they are immutable, but why? You realize that
I,
individual character comes as what? It comes
An
a
integer.
value, integer.
as
Yeah.
integer. Yes, and we know integer is immutable. So of course, if you are going to get individual character, you cannot what? You cannot alter it, because integer itself is what? Immutable. Okay, so once individual character represent integer, so if that is the case, it makes what? Byte what? Immutable, because you cannot alter, and you cannot alter integer. Okay, we already know that you can alter what? A group. Okay, like collection type. So now we look at array. Then when you hear the word array, what comes in mind? Let's look at English word array. What comes in mind? In English, when you hear something array, what comes in mind? Let's forget about programming. In array, what comes in mind?
An ordered arrangement.
An ordered arrangement. Okay. So it means that in array we are not specifically thinking of just one, okay, one character. So it means that you may have one more, which you can change something out of it. Okay. So in array we actually use the keyword to be able to change all those things. So now we know that arrays are what immutable, okay, and then we know that we can what alter what each what element within a what an array. Okay, so if I have an array and then I want to, let's say, change an element, the array uses the byte keyword array. Okay, so if I have a byte data and then you have the array data, it means that you can actually change the element of that. Okay, so these are one of the things that I want you to take note. And we see that individual, a byte individual, when you want to access a specific byte, okay, or maybe if I have array, a byte of array, and I want to return, what happened? What will be the output? What will be the output? If I have a bunch of them and I want to return, what will be the output? What will be the output? Mm. Hello. So if I have an array and I want to return, like the way you have a byte and you want to return, if you want to return a byte, you see that it comes with b. Okay. In the same way, if I have an array and then I want to return, it comes with what? The byte what array. Okay. So that's the difference between the two. So let's give an example. So example that I'll give here, I have a byte. So let's say a byte data. I have a byte data, and then I want to assign the byte data. So a byte data will come with b. So which I will give a simple program that we already know. Hello. Okay. So if this and I want to access this, you already know that what would the output be like? If I want to access the value, what will it be like? Hello.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm asking that now that I've assigned a byte to byte data, if I want to access the value, what value will come out? What value will come out? What value?
Please, the question again. If you want to access
If I want to access the value inside this variable,
an integer,
no, check what have I assigned to. That will be the byte, right? Because if I'm accessing it, I just access this. So if I type byte or if I print byte data, that will be the byte data that will come. Integer only comes when I want to access individual elements. I hope it's clear.
yes.
Okay. So now let's move on. So now
No,
I want, yeah, you said no.
I don't get it. Yes.
Okay, what I'm saying is that if I've assigned a value like what I've done, b, which is we know is a byte value, okay, b hello to byte data, and I want to access the data, that is the element, this element, what the data, the value, or let me see, I want to access the value. and I'm asking you that what would the output be like? Okay, and then you were saying int, and I said no, that should be what? A byte. You only get integer when you access what individual what element. Okay, I hope it's clear.
Yes, please.
Okay, so now let's look at, now that we have a byte, we want to convert it to array. So to convert it to array, that would be, let's say we know that array is what? Mutable. So let's look at mutable data, okay, or mutable byte. Let me put it that way, mutable byte, and then I'll assign to this. So the array will be the method that we will use to convert. Like if I want to convert, let's say, a string to integer, what do we use to convert that? A string to integer.
Int.
So in the same way that we also use, so that one will be what? Bytes. So we have bytes like this byte. Okay, then array. Okay, so byte array is going to be what we use. Okay, so something like this. Then I will put my byte index, which my byte I'm having what? Byte data. That is B Y T E data. Okay, so in this case, now I've converted this one to what? An array. So let's say if I want to check, and then I'll do data type. Let's see type. Okay, so when I check the type, what would the output be? I'm expecting should be with what? Array. Okay, so let's see. So which is mutable byte. So now you can see here we have class what? Byte what? Array. So now we're able to what? Convert from what? A byte to what? A byte what? Array. And then we said that a byte is what? Mutable, meaning that we can what? Alter its element. So for instance, if I want to access the element of something, we use the indexes. I believe that is clear, right? So I will come here and say mutable array. So mutable bytes, that is the name that we give. And then I will do something like this, which means what? What does it mean? Something like this. Now, first of all, let me first access this one first. Okay, let's access the bytes first, mutable byte first. So the mutable byte, we can see that we have bytes, then we can see what? Array. So now you could see that we have the byte array, and then inside we have what? Our byte. So this is how it look like. So now if I want to access maybe hello, and I want to maybe change hello, okay, which we already know that if I do something like this, okay, in that case this one is going to give me access to that particular page. Okay, so now I can assign this one to what? A value. So in this value we see order, because here array deal with order. As I asked you, you said what? So order. Okay, so we could now get in touch with that one, so that we'll be able to what? Change what? The element, whatever that we want to change. Okay, So that is the way we can actually do that. Okay, if maybe we want to see more information about this, we could also do this. For now we already know what that class is. We realize that we have this class bytes. Okay, so this class byte that I have here, I could also put it in what, a help function. Okay, so if I come here and I say help, and then inside my help I just put my byte array. So inside our, you can see here we have what, a byte array is what, attributable of int. That is what, a byte array. So you will see that it's attributable of int. When we see anything attributable, what comes in mind? Attributable,
It can be looked through.
be looked through. Okay, so now you could see that is what, attributable of int. And if you say attributable of int, int simply means what? Int, like of integer, right? Okay, so it's attributable of what, int. Then we have our byte array. Then we look at byte array, we have a string and then the encode. Okay, so we'll get into that. So these are what you can see, byte array here and then int. Okay, so a byte array of a size given by what, the parameter initialized with what, a noun byte. Okay, and this one give us what, empty. So if I have this one, it's going to give me empty byte array. Okay, then we have here, we are saying that it's what, mutable. Mutable means that you can what, alter its element. So let's look at this. An attributable yielding integer in what range, what, 256. Okay, so it's giving us in range what, 256. That is from 0 to 256. And what, a text string encoded using what, a specified encoding. You get into the encoding so you understand. Okay, so now you will see that we have the encoding, then a byte or a buffer object implementing buffer API and stuff. So you could see the methods that can be applied. You can see the add and all those things, because everything that comes within that is what, an integer. Okay, and but it's an integer because it's not a single integer, it's a group. Okay, like the way we have the range, we can use the range to generate a series of numbers. It's the same thing. Okay, so now here you see all the methods that we have here. You can see here there are different methods that comes with that. Okay, so you can see here, you can see here, you can see here, you can see here. Okay, so you can see the length and all those stuff. You can see here. So you see the side, the string, append, capitalize. So these are all other that comes with that. Okay, so copy. So the count, so you can see that all the things that we have with a string, then you can see that we have what, decode. We'll be using decode very soon. So you can see here decode. So decode here means that we can decode a string to what, a byte. Okay, so you can see here we have a decode, and you can say decode the byte array using the decoded register for decoding. Okay, so we can do the decoding, we can do encode. So this is where you will see all the details here. So all these are different methods. And wait, okay, you can see the find, you can see the hexadecimal. So you create a string of hexadecimal numbers from a byte array object. Okay, so a lot. Okay, and then you could see here, this is a byte array here, and the value given as hexadecimal value. When you call, we use the hexadecimal function method. So it just converts everything to hexadecimal. Okay, so all this one you could take time and then explore more. You can see index. See, we have indexes. These are different methods that we can see here. Insert, okay, it's alpha. Then you see that it's ASCII characters. So these ASCII characters will give us all the, I believe now you know ASCII. So ASCII characters is going to give us the alphabets from capital to the small letters can give us all the different characters in addition. So mostly we use the ASCII characters for password, okay, to generate password. Maybe you want to automatically generate password where you can want to add numbers and all those things. So we call for ASCII. Okay, so you see all this one here. You can say it's digit. It's digit will going to give us a digit that is from 0 to 9. Okay, and alpha is going to give us the alpha is lower. So now you check its title, you check all the issue. Then you see that we have the joins, which is used for concatenation. Okay, so all this one, because the array is also a string, but a string that has been converted to either array or, so that's where you see most of them. All this one you see them in a string. So you see that all those ones can also be applied. The splitting, you can see the splitting. Okay, the upper. Okay, so actually this gives us the basic understanding of all this stuff. What exactly that we can use them for. Okay, so let's look at what I was talking earlier on. So now I have this. Okay, I have this byte. So if I come here and then I place 0 here, okay, from what we've done so far, okay, you could see that it will give us what 72. That is, I think I explained it to you. So array of what integer. So it's a durable what array of what integer. So it's not just one. So it could give us all, but you know that this is array. So if I just come here and do this, you could see that if I place in 3, and you could see that you just that now it's just going to give us what the byte. Now you can see here I have the byte, and what byte is hello, okay, hell as a byte. So this, but then it came as what a byte array, not just the byte. Okay, so this give us, so now if I want to alter element, let's say I want to alter element by changing the h to something different. So you do this and then you assign it to the value. So what value that we are going to do, we said order. Okay, so order, then inside that you place what we want to add. So for instance, here I want to place in h, which is a small h. Okay, and then you assign this one. So now when you call for mutable, okay, so let's call for mutable here again. So in this case, I'm expecting that the capital should change. Okay, So here, if I check down there, you could see that hello. So it tells you that now we'll be able to what, alter. But if it wasn't an array and it was an integer and we want to alter, in that case it will throw an error to us because we already know that we cannot alter it individually, because here the mutable that is coming here is not a single what integer. Array does not give us a single integer, it gives us what iterable what array. Iterable integer means that it's a range of what it. So that one, when it's in the range, it means that we can alter what it was element. So that is the basic understanding of this. Okay, I hope it's clear.
Yes.
Okay, so now we understand what mutable when it comes to byte array, and then we also understand a byte itself, and then we also know how to convert, let's say, change from a byte to a byte array. Okay, so now let's look at um, what we call a string itself. So now if I have a string and then I want to convert the string to, let's say, I want to convert the string to a byte. Okay, I want to convert the string to byte. Before, the one that we just did, it was originally we made it a byte and then we converted the byte to what, a byte array. So this case, I'm only having what, um I'm only having a string. So if I have a string and then I want to convert the string to byte, so how are we going to do that? So let's look at that. So now we have what we call string. So let's say, let's use this one. We already know str simply means a string. Okay, so scr, which is a string, to byte. Okay, so if that is what I want to do, now we use what we call the decoding and encoding. When we were doing, I think we saw the decoding and encoding, right? So these are the two that we'll be using. Okay, so now I have a string. So if I have a string, in that case, I need to encode my string towards a byte. So we use what, encode. And then if I'm having a byte and I want to change it to a string, you use what, decode. Okay, so now let's do so. I have converting string, which is str, to byte. Okay, so with this, we use what we call encode. So that would be a string, that is your string dot what, encode, what, method. Okay, so we already know that your string far could be the variable or it could be a string. As you know that this string, the str that I just did, is also the same as what, is also the same as this. So string dot encode, and then here is going to what, change whatever that you are having to what you call a byte. Okay, so now let's do a simple example, okay, and see how we will be able to convert that. Okay, so now before you can convert any data, any string to byte, we need to look at the convention. Okay, anytime you are converting a string, you know that byte is made up of what, 8 bits. Okay, so we take that one into note. So what we are going to use is what, the UTF, okay, hyphen 8, which means that we are converting it to what? 8 bits. Okay, so which means that we are converting it to what? 8 bits. So that should be inside this, because that will inform the format that you are using. So if we are converting it, if I'm changing everything, so coming into bytes, every individual string, okay, that is the element or character within the string, will be converted into what? 8 what? Bits. So that is what we have here. Okay, I hope it's clear.
Yes.
Okay, so we come down here. So I will have a simple name, which is, let's say, uh, student. Let me use the word student. And then my student will be a string. So the string that I will use, I'm using Kwame. Okay, so I have Kwame here as a string. So now if I want to convert Kwame to a byte, okay, so let's say student byte. Okay, so here that will assign it to student. Okay, dot. So now here we use what? The encode, which is this. So that will be encode. Okay, in our encode, we have to use the format because we are changing it to 8 bits. So here we place this one in quotes. So that will be UTF, okay, hyphen 8. Okay, so this is going to do that. Okay, so now when I call student underscore byte, you could see that here I've now converted what? Kwame to what? Byte. Okay, but in what format? You could see that the format will be in this. So now if I want to get individual character, like what actually the keyboard will pick, now I could get this one because I know K, what will be the keyboard value for K? That is the integer value for K. Then I can now pinpoint that by saying here, let's see 0, and then here it will give me that. I hope it's clear.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now let's see that I want to, now you see that we've encoded it. Now we want to decode it. So if I want to decode it, it means that I want to change it from the byte back to string. So if I want to change it from byte back to string, that would be that we use what? The decode. Okay, so here is what? Encode. So the next will be what? Decode, DE, then the code, but everything is the same. Okay, so now I'll have another variable, say student underscore bytes underscore decode. Okay, so here will be the value. So what am I going to decode? I'm going to decode what? Student bytes, because that is what has been encoded. So say student underscore bytes. Okay, so here I'll put in what? My UTF. So the UTF value will be, we are changing it to 8 bits. Okay, Okay, so now here will be the value. Okay, so sorry, I forgot to bring the dots. So this one will be dots decode. Okay, so the decode here, I'm going to change back to what we get this. So now if I call student bytes decode, in this case, you see that to move me back to primary. Okay, so now I'm back to what? My string. So if I want to access individual character, what will be the output? What will be the output? Farming. So if I put this one here, what are you expecting to see?
Key.
K, yeah, K. Go back, you are back to what? The string. So now we understand how to convert. For decoding and encoding, I believe you know you can go and decode your phone and all these things. You know, so now you know the process, what actually is happening. Okay, so now I already have these ones down. So now we understand how to convert from maybe a byte to a byte array. We've also gotten how to convert from a string to bytes and then back from a byte to a string by using what? The decode and then encoding what method. And then the format should be UTF what 8. Okay, UTF-8, which means that we are converting it back to what? 8 bits. We know that 1 byte makes what? 8 what? Bits. So that is the understanding. Okay. So our next point is we want to convert from, we've done converting from a string to byte. Now let's look at other one. Maybe last time I taught you how to convert from binary, right? Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I did that. So, but then since because you asked the question, that's why I came in to explain. Okay, so let's continue. So it's just going to be a refreshing stamp for you. Okay, so now I have a value which I want to convert it. Okay, so let's see that I have a byte data. So I have bytes, bytes underscore data. Okay, and then I'll assign it to a string which is B. Let me use capital. So let's do A, B, C. Okay, so I have this A, B, C here. Okay, so now I want to convert this. So now we can convert this by using what? The format. Okay, we can using the format to do the converting, and then we also add what? Join. So inside the join method, we already know a string. Okay, we already know what a string simply means. So if I have this and then I want to change this one to binary, so let's say binary data, binary data. Okay, so now I'll use this. So this actually that you see here is what we call a string. Now we know that a string is having what? Join what? Method as property. I hope you remember that. Remember that from our previous class. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, please.
I use the join from a string because this one is joint, so string. So can I use the joint? So inside the joint, now I'll look at my my format function, what I exactly I want to do, okay, inside my join function. So now I can use a loop system in this join. So we know that this is a string, so we can loop through the string, right? So I can use a for loop to loop through the string. So when I'm looping it, I'm getting individual character. Okay, so if I loop through BA and stuff, I'm going to get individual character. So I can see here for bytes, let's say for bytes in for bytes in what the data that we have here, that's byte data. So byte in bytes underscore data. Okay, so for byte in byte data is going to give us what the data. So if I put this one here, of course I'm going to get the normal string character. So if I place byte here, it means that I'm what assigning it back to what the binary data, but it's not binary yet. Okay, so if I come here and then I type in byte, okay, in this case here, once we run this code and I call binary, underscore data, you could see that what came was what ABC. So it means that I'm able to pull individual what character, because here I just did the same thing. So ABC, but this ABC is not in what in binary format. Okay, so now I need to change this ABC to binary format, and then we use this keyword. To do that, we need to use what the binary. Okay, so I'm going to use what format. Okay, so here I'll use what we call format. So we use the format function. So this format method here that I have here, okay, I have this format here to convert it back to binary, and we already know that binary deal with what are we expecting. It should be in what 8 bits. Okay, so because we expect binary should be in, we want it to be in 8 bits character. So I'll put 0, 8, and then the bit, which means that I want to convert it back to what 8 bits. So now this one is going to change everything that I have here to binary. Okay, so that's what will happen here. So if we run this code now here, the conversion will take place for us. Oh, sorry. Sorry. So I'm coming. I did not close it. Okay, so let me come in. bytes. Okay, so format formats bytes. 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 Yeah. Okay. Uh, Hello.
Yes, please.
The unknown formats. Oh, sorry. It means that I didn't change my the data that I was using was what? It wasn't a byte, right? I hope you got in the error. It's mean
Yes.
that all format could be for object of type string. It means that I should have converted the value towards uh, what do you call a byte before, but you realize what I was doing was already. So let's go back. So here I should have converted this one to byte. So we already know that we can use what the encoding to do that, right? I can do something like this, b, okay, which will make it byte, okay, or we can also use the encoding, which is this, right? Dots, the data dots, what the encode, okay, and then change this one to UTF hyphen 8. I believe you understand.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I did. I've added the D to that place. Sorry. Okay. So encode. Okay. So now here we can write our code. Okay. So the code that we were writing was here, which is the binary file that I just typed here. So now I could have this one here. Come to next line, paste it. So now we've able to convert it. So now if I check the binary data and see B binary, okay, now you can see that here it will pull us what the binary data. So if we go and check from here, you can see that all the data that we have here 00, then 00, then 00. So A, what that the A simply means in binary, what that B simply means in binary. So now if we check for binary for A, the I character. Here it's not showing exactly everything, but at least you gotten the understanding. So that will give us the binary value for that. Okay, so in our binary of that, so you can see here we have a lot of them here. So now we'll be able to convert it to binary, and in the same way we can also do to convert it from other data types. So now we've done the binary. Let's look at converting it to an hexer. Okay, so hexer means what? Hexer means, or let's say octal. Octal means what? Hello. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Octal simply means what?
So me.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying that octal means what?
8.
8. Yeah, 8. Good. So now let's go. So we want to convert from, now we've done for binary. So we want to convert from byte to octal. So converting, so here I'll do this. So the key is what? Converting from bytes to octal. Okay, so converting from byte to octal. So we already have our bytes already. Okay, so now we only focus on the convert. So now here I'm changing from binary, and then I'll place in octal here. So here is going to be octal data. So the difference will comes to this. Now this is what 8. Binary means that we want what 8 what characters. So that is why we started from here. Okay, so that is for the binary. Okay, so when we want to change it to octal deal with what 3 digits. Okay, deal with 3 digits. So it's not 8. So octal deal with what 3 digits. So now I will change this one here to 030. Okay, so this one deal with what 3 digits. That is the format for octal. So the rest of the code will be the same. The rest of the code will be the same. Sorry, sorry, the indent. So now we do Okay, so the rest of the code should be the same. So now when I call for octal, okay, underscore data, now you can see the value. So now octal value here will give us what? 65. Okay, and then this. Okay, so if you check here, you can see that 65. Let's come to octal. A. Let's see A. Do we have octal here? Let me see. So here we see the binary, we see decimal. I'm not seeing the octal value. But last time the one that I had was having that. Okay, but for later on you can check it on your own. You can just check everything on your own. So that will give us that. Okay, that will give us that. So here you see that you'll be able to convert it to octal, then you will see the values there. Okay, so now we can also convert it back from maybe to hertz, which is the hexadecimal. Now when you talk about the hexa, what comes to mind? Hexa, when you hear the hexa, hexa means what?
6.
Hexadecimal, are we talking about 6 or 16? Is it 6?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
which one? Is it 6 or hello?
6.
Yeah, 6. So
Base
if I
16.
have base 16, okay, so hexadecimal is base 16. Okay, so we are talking about 16 base 16. So now we can also do the same conversion. So whatever that we did here, I could still maintain the same code here, but I'll just change this one to, I'll change here to, instead of octal, I'll change it to hertz. I'll change it to hertz. Okay, so hertz data. So the format will be what we need to change. So this is where, so if it's binary, so this is where your change of code should come in. So at this point, I could change it to 0 to x. Okay, so that is the format if you want to do that. Okay, so now if I call for hertz data, now you can see that this is the hertz value. So now you can see here 41, 42, 43. So this means that A is 40, A is 41, then 42, 43. Okay, so basically that's how this thing works. You can check it and you see the format. Now we can also convert it to from byte to decimal. Okay, and when you come about decimal simply means what? Decimal. Decimal. When we say decimal, what do we mean?
Hello.
Yeah, decimal.
Base 10.
Base 10, yeah. So we want to convert it to base 10, which is decimal. So to actually do that, we've already have the simple code that we, oh sorry. We have a simple code we've already written. So we will still use the same code. Okay. So now here I'll paste this one here. So now when we come to this line, this is where we were actually doing our formatting. Okay. So instead of this format, all this format that we did here was for, we change it to base what? Base 16 and all those things, base 8, and then binary, which is base 2. Okay. Now we want to move to base 10. Okay. So base 10, actually, if I do this bytes, now if I run this code, okay, if I run this code like what we have here, you realize that it gave us individual what? It gave us individual characters. Okay, so now you can see here, if I come here and then run this, so I'm changing here to decimal, DEC, so simply mean decimal. So if you run this code, sorry, now you can see here we had some error here. Can you see type error? And then the type error came out sequence item 0 expected what? String instance in what? Now what happened is when you look through individual element, what comes in? If I look through individual element, what am the output? What am I expecting? What am I expecting? If you have a byte, and you look through the byte, what will the output be like? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, I'm asking that if I have a byte, now we already that we have a byte data, and you want to loop. So if you are looping through to get individual characters, what output are you expecting?
An integer.
An integer. So now you realize that here, since we use for this one is a list I hope you remember the list comprehension, right? I've done a list comprehension with you.
Yes, please. So,
Yes. So now you see that here we are using a list comprehension. It's the same as me coming here to use a for loop. Let me do this for you. So if I'm not going to use a list comprehension, a normal for loop will be this code. I write this code, something like this. So I will say that for for bytes in for bytes in for bytes in sorry okay, so for bytes in byte data, okay, then I can say print what? Print bytes. Okay, so in this case, you see that here I'm getting what? Individual. So you can see here I have what? 65, 66, 67. Okay, so this is what is coming out. You can see 66, 60, 65, 66. So what is coming out here is what? Is an integer. Now if we want to use this integer in the in what we were doing here, now here is it just threw an error to us because this is an integer, so we cannot what? Can we join an integer? Because can we concatenate an integer? Can we concatenate an integer? What we are doing here, when we use the joint, we are concatenating the output. Okay, and we say that you cannot concatenate what? Integer, because when you use the concatenating sign, it will change it to what? It seems like you can only add, okay, an integer, but you cannot concatenate an integer. So to be able to concatenate an integer, you have to what do you need to do? If I want to concatenate an integer, what do I need to do? Hello.
Hello, you change it to string.
You change it to string. Okay, you change it to string. So that is the error that you saw here. So you realize that it threw an error and says that type error and say that sequence item 0 expected or string instance, not what? Not int found. So it means that it's an int, sorry, int found. It means that the value is an int. So we need to use a string instance to change the integer to what? A string before we can what? We can concatenate it. So now here we will just need to change this value that is coming from here to str, which is string. Okay, so once we change this to a string instance, now uh we can see what? The value. So now if I come here and I say decimal, because you already know that the moment you look through a byte, it's going to give us what? A decimal. So now you can see that I have what? 66, 65, 67. And this is what? The keyboard value, decimal value for what? A, B, and C. I hope it's clear.
Yes.
Yeah. So these are what is going on, because now you are going to do the programming. You need to understand the keyboard. You need to understand how data are being processed. So mostly it picks all this one. So if I type in all the keyboard value that you'll be keeping in is now in this format, and it's converting it to binary. So you see that it converts in binary, and some of them, instead of binary, some are in the form of hexadecimal, some are in the form of octal, and each has individual what? The bytes. Some are 2, some are 3 bytes, and all those things. Maybe we'll go into details in our next class. But for now, I really want you to get the understanding of how to convert from one one byte data to another. So you could convert from a normal string to a byte, and change from a byte to byte array for you to be able to update if you want to alter um, a byte. Okay, you can change it to what, an array, a byte array, and then when you change to a byte array, you can alter it because in that order. Then when you are done, and maybe you still want to look through maybe a byte, the best way to do is to convert to array, because you know that array is what, arrayable. So once a byte array is arrayable, once you convert it, then you will be able to what, look through to get individual what element that you want. Okay, so these are some of the things that you actually need to take note. And then of course, even if I have this one, when one is in integer and all, because it's also inarrayable, I can still iterate it, like we saw that we were able to iterate the byte here. Just that we cannot alter its elements. We cannot alter what elements. Okay. So I don't want to add today's lesson. Okay, because if I do, maybe it might feel so some way. So at least get the basic understanding. So next week when we meet, we will be going more into details of, let's say, we want to really understand what scripting simply means. So we go into scripting, and then we will be doing with system specific issues. Okay, so how do we solve that? Then we look at assessing the operating system. So how do we assess our operating system? When you check the operating system, you can see there are a number of processes that go through. If I check mine, we see there are a number of processes that is currently going through. Okay, so you could actually know all those processes, and then you can, if I check my task manager here, I should be able to know what is going on right now here. The resources, the file, whatever is consuming more file, more memory, it should be able to show you all those things. Okay. So next week we will spend time and go through all those things. So now you can see here, if I check here, you see what is going on. So now I have a Microsoft. These are the app that I've seen. You see the background, you can see a lot of files that are going on. So you can see that I'm using my browser, Firefox, and you can see the memory, what it's consuming, almost 145.5 megabytes. Okay, so this is VS Code. Then you could see that Firefox, what it's consuming. Okay, then you can see, then I have, so these are, so sometimes you can, when your machine is slow, what we do is that you can close some of the processes that is consuming more, or some that we are not using but is consuming, so we just put them off. So all these files, I've opened them. I'm using Discord, I'm using Microsoft Project, I've opened this, I've opened Team, Microsoft Team, I've opened Microsoft Word, Notepad, and then Terminal. I'm using the Terminal, and I'm using Tony, and I'm using Visual Studio Code, and each one is occupying what memory. So you can see the memory. So now in my system, I'm using 69% of my memory. Okay, but when it comes to the CPU, I'm just using 33% of it. Okay, so you realize that some of them, if I'm running application that need more memory, what I need to do is to put some of this thing off. Okay, so now we will be going into details, really understanding all this. So the how to understand all those things, the chapter. So we have a lot to go. I believe you enjoyed this class. So now we have all these ones here, which we can also go through. So we'll be using the model, OS model. So the OS model allow us to have access to our operating system. So now we can now have access to our operating systems and able to manage our operating system resources. Okay, so we can collect user informations, we can be managing processing, determine the file information, manipulating our files, navigating folders. We can do all these things by just writing our simple code to do that. You don't need to go and then be opening this thing. Okay, so now that we really understand bytes, now when we are doing some of these things, I think when you get to use some of this scripting, you will be able to know how you go about it. If I have something like this, I have OS. Now here is my OS. So these are simple code that you can see here. Maybe you could try your hands on some of them. So here, just access your system user. So now you can see your local network service administrators. Then you could see that installer, trusted installers. Then you could see administrator. You can see your guests. You can see your home group users and stuff. So these are what we'll be actually going into it, because if you want to write a software, you need them to give the permission to do the installation. Then here where we actually use binary. So now here you can see that 3 bits can be considered to be at octal